Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool arcade game repair video for you this evening. This time we have Popeye the Sailor Man, made by Nintendo. Did anybody ever watch Popeye the Sailor Man? This one came out in 1982. I watched a few of the reruns back in the day. This was a little bit before my time. I'm not as old as people think I am. People think I'm a lot older because I'm bald. But, you know, I understand. I don't care. But anyway, I watched a little bit of it. I used to get the reruns a lot, I guess. I can't do it. Can you do it? Anyway, I got this game the other day on Facebook Marketplace. He had this one and an Asteroids, and it was a pretty good price. But they were about 2 hours away. And I'm always kind of weary about doing that because by the time you get there, sometimes people are already offered more money. And I'm not going to get in a bidding war over stuff. I refuse to pay more than asking price, even if it's a good deal. I mean, you put it up on there for, say, $500. You know, I expect you to sell it to me for $500. I'm not going to, just because some other idiot messages you and offers you $6, I'm not going to offer you $7. I'm just too stubborn. I won't pay more than asking. So, anyway, I started heading that way. And by the time I was kind of nervous about the whole thing. Because like I said, it was about 2 hours away. So it was almost a 4-hour round trip by the time you figure in traffic and everything. So I told the guy, I said, look, I'm coming from Charlotte. Please don't sell them because I'm coming that way. I don't want to waste my time. And I usually don't say that. But, you know, I really didn't want to waste 4 hours. Because, you know, it sounds like you're telling them it was way too cheap already. But, you know, I rolled the dice. So I get about 30 minutes away from the guy's house and he marks them as sold on Facebook. And I start to get a little pissed off because I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. But I guess he just had so many people message him that he just marked them as sold, but he was saving them for me. All that to say, we already know what's wrong with it. I haven't plugged it in. The other people only wanted this machine. They didn't want to mess with the Asteroids. He sold them to me because I was buying both. You know, I had to make it worth the trip. But I didn't even ask him what was wrong with him. It's one of those deals. He had them listed as arcade game. Had no description. Didn't say nothing about them. So I didn't plug them in or anything when I got there because the price was so good. I just put them on the truck. And he asked me if I worked on them. I said yes. And he said, well, good, because they've been broke for a long time. That's what he said. I don't make this stuff up, people. People don't know what's wrong with them. If they knew what was wrong with them, they wouldn't be, either they wouldn't sell them or they wouldn't bring them to us to fix them. They're broke. But anyway, it's in okay shape, I guess. The bottom's got some little damage there. Probably going to take off my coin door hasp. T-molding always gets cracked real bad on these. There's no side art, but the sides are in pretty good shape. I don't think I'm going to repaint the sides because these Nintendo games have that nice finish on them. I'm probably just going to touch up a spot or two. I may end up repainting the front. Can't really just paint that one section. I'll probably just paint the whole front because the speaker's got a few nicks on it anyway. This side's in about the same shape as the other side. Let's see. I guess it's from Kentucky. In Kentucky, or let's see, 1991. So it was on location in Kentucky in 1991. People come into the store a lot, and they always say, you know, we've been here 15 years, and we just sell machines. We just sell machines to people for their houses. That's very hard for people to understand. It's not an arcade. We don't operate them. And almost, I don't know, a couple times a week, people come in and they're like, you should open up an arcade. Have you ever thought about opening up an arcade? Boy, you should really open up an arcade. Well, gee, I've been sitting in this building for 15 years with 100 arcade games around me for 10 hours a day. And gee, I've never thought about that. I mean, that's a very good idea. Come on now. There's a reason that we haven't opened up an arcade. If I wanted to open up an arcade, I would have already done it. So if you don't know, you're supposed to, in South Carolina anyway, you're supposed to have a license for each machine. And it's $250 a year. So if I get 50 machines, you know, that's a pretty good bit of money. And it's only good for that machine. I can't rotate the machines out. And I'd have to deal with all their screaming kids coming in, you know, hanging off the joystick and all that. I don't want to deal with it. People spilling their drinks all over the place. I just don't want to deal with it. I'd rather just buy it, fix it, sell it. Buy it, fix it, sell it. I've been doing this. I don't want to mess with the formula. It's been working pretty good for me. But anyway, back to the Popeye. I've rambled enough. I really don't know what's wrong with it. Well, you know. I mean, you probably know what's wrong with it. I haven't plugged it in or anything yet. I literally just got it. So I like to do it on camera. People probably think that I've plugged these in already, but I really haven't. I'll do it on camera. It doesn't matter to me because I've already bought it, you know. It's already mine, so there's no real reason to plug it in. But let's start at the wall. This looks pretty good. Looks like somebody's changed it at some point. The cord, I like to kind of run my hand along the cord, make sure there's no cuts in it. Doesn't really look like there is. It's got one of these little keyless locks on it. Take that off there. All right, let's see what we're working with. It's got a Sanyo, original Sanyo monitor in it. Maybe I should get a flashlight. Do I have a flashlight? I don't think my flashlight's charged up. Anyway, that's the original Sanyo monitor. Somebody has capped it at some point. I can tell because these green caps right there. And I can tell by these caps, I can tell that those have been changed. But we may take that out and cap it again. We'll see how it looks. There is our power supply. Our game board is in that cage. And that's all there is to it. Everything looks like it's in the right spot. All right. You guys ready? Well, I think we're just going to plug it in. Popeye the Sailor Man. We are plugged in. Let's try the switch down here. Nope. I did notice when I was loading it, somebody put a new switch up here on top. See that there? Because people like to put these against the wall, and if you put it against the wall, you can't really get to that switch. So I'm hoping this switch will do something. We'll see. It lights up. It gets power. It turns on. Well, there went that story. Looks pretty good, actually. I wasn't expecting that. Try to coin it up. These Nintendos have a little coin. All right, so we got credits. Get ready. See if the punch is working. Okay. See if we can get some sound. Let's see here. Got a little bit of sound, I think. You can just barely hear it. Yep, that was the sound. So the monitor on these Sanyos, the sound actually runs through the monitor. But we're probably going to have to cap the monitor and the sound section. We really ought to do that anyway. They probably capped it 30 years ago for all we know. But so far, I'm happy with my purchase. I didn't think it was going to actually turn on. I thought the power supply would be bad at least. All right, so we're going to have to get that monitor out of there. So on these Nintendos, there's a little latch here. There's a little wing nut. Loosen that baby up. Pull this lever back like that. And then you can lift this up. They've actually got this bracket here on backwards. There's a little lip there you're supposed to be able to pick up on, but they got the bracket on backwards. But usually you can take a little screwdriver. Can you tell I'm very prepared for this video? Let me come over here and get a screwdriver. Kind of need to, let's try this one. I just wing it on the videos. That's the best ones. Easy. There we go. See how that bracket's got a lip on it there? If it would have been on the other side like it was supposed to be, I could have just grabbed it and pulled it up. So, bezel's out. And then there's 2 screws here. One there. One there. One there. And one there. Let's turn it off. Got your little video connector here. Some snips, cut that out. And the monitor plugs into the bottom down here. You got to be careful. You can't plug this into a regular outlet. It has to be isolated. That's the isolation transformer right there. So you can't just take this monitor out and test it in your house. You've got to make sure you plug it into that outlet, because that outlet is 100 volts and it's isolated. But I'm going to take this monitor out of here. That was my power that I just unhooked. Just pull this up through there. I got to get a little pair of snips to cut my little zip tie there. Take those 4 bolts out. I'm gonna take the whole monitor out at one time. Well, I got the monitor out of there and took the chassis out. I was actually filming it on my GoPro. I got this head cam I was trying to use, but I just couldn't get it adjusted the way I wanted it yet. And when I played it back, I just wasn't really happy with how it turned out. You couldn't really see as good as I thought you could, and it sounded like I was breathing really, really hard, because I guess the camera was on my head. So the whole time it was like, you get the idea. So I don't think I'm going to include that footage because it was kind of crappy. But anyway, I got the board out. You can see that it's been capped. They didn't change all of the caps. That drives me nuts when they do that. Like there's a 220 there that they didn't change. Don't know why. I guess I just overlooked it. But anyway, here's the sound amp board. So all the sound runs through this. And look at this cap here. Remember when we didn't have any sound? This cap's not even hooked up. It's not in there. So, I don't really think there's much use in filming this, but all you do is unsolder the cap. See what value it is. You look over here. You pull the drawer open. You get the cap. And you solder it back in. You put it in the 2 holes. This long side is always the positive. Short side's the negative with the stripe on it. Just make sure you got the positive going into the positive hole. The negative going into the negative hole. Then you solder it in. So I got to change all these capacitors. They've been changed before, and I probably could have adjusted it out to make it look pretty good. But since we didn't have any sound, and I don't know when this was capped, I'd rather just go ahead and cap it, and they didn't change a couple of the capacitors anyway, so I need to give everything a once over. You know, I got to at least look at it, so I'm going to change the caps. Change the caps on the soundboard, and then we'll put it all back together. All right, I got all my caps changed. This is the real bad one we were looking at. And somebody on the last video was complaining that I never show my solder job. Like I was embarrassed or something. I mean, I just don't think it's very interesting. Is that what you want to see? Does that do it for you? See, the circles are the ones that are the caps. I mean, there really isn't that much to it. You heat it up, you put the solder on there. It's not really a beauty contest, as long as it's making connection. What do I do with my sound? Here's my sound amp. But anyway, I'm gonna put it all back in the frame and put it back in the cabinet. And no, I'm not gonna wipe off this dust. That's magic dust. People get too caught up in that. It's inside the cabinet. There's a little dust on it. Some people take these things out and they hit them with a water hose and wash it all down. But I think there's about a 25% chance of you breaking it. I mean, you might get it nice and shiny and clean, but if it doesn't work anymore, what's the point? I like to just leave it how it is. I change the caps. I reflow the problem areas. I put it back in and I go with it. I don't get all caught up on getting it spotless. I'd rather have one with a little dirt on it that worked really good than a spotless one that was broke. All right, let's see if that did anything. I got the monitor back in there. All right. Well, that fixed our sound, obviously. Remember, we had it turned way up earlier, so I'm going to turn it back down. That's probably good. So now we got to adjust it. See how the background is white? That means our red, green, and blue is adjusted pretty good. So I'm just going to turn down the flyback. If you've got lines going through the screen, the flyback's too high. All right, now we're going to try to turn up the brightness a little bit. See what that looks like. That looks a lot better. All right, so I think we got that taken care of. So what I got to start on the cosmetic stuff next, pretty much. So I like to repaint the black on the inside. I like to repaint this black here, this black, and then this black. And then I'll clean all this up with Windex. Put my bezel back in there how it was. And another thing I like to do on these Nintendos is I like to paint the top black because it's kind of at eye level, for me anyway. So that's all dusty looking. I like to just paint the whole top black. I think it just makes everything look cleaner. So that's next. I'm gonna paint the black, clean everything up, put the bezel back in, and paint the top. All right, we're starting to get somewhere. Got the black painted like I was talking about. And you remember how the bottom was kind of chewed up? It pretty much came off in one big piece. I think I know he had it in a storage building out back, and I don't know if moisture got to that bottom edge or what, but anyway, I peeled it off fairly straight. And I took off my eye hook for the lockdown bar right there. And this edge is doing the same thing. And I got a couple little nicks there. So what I usually do, I just use Bondo. Just for your, car Bondo. You can use wood filler and stuff too, wood putty, whatever you want to use. But I just like to use Bondo, especially on the edge like that down there. It's a little stronger than wood filler. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Mix up the Bondo, spread it on there with the Bondo spreader. Fill in the hole, sand it all down. And I've got some blue paint. I guess I should mention that this is the same cabinet that Donkey Kong was in. So it's Donkey Kong blue. And I'm hoping I have enough paint to do the front. And this is the closest paint I've been able to find. It's kind of expensive though, but it's from Sherwin-Williams. And there's all your info right there. And I guess you can be the judge after I get it all painted if it's a pretty good match. And if it turns out all right, I might come over to the side and do a little touch-ups, but I may leave that alone. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Kenny Rogers knew. But I'm happy with my monitor. So let's do that. All right. Open up my Bondo. Put me some down there. One thing about Bondo, you usually mix up way too much or not enough. There's never a perfect amount, it seems like. There's the Bondo. Take your little hardener. I don't have a formula. I just do whatever I feel like. Some of you might be thinking, geez, you used a lot of hardener. It's fine. Mix it up real good. Get it on there. You kind of got that one part's kind of your line, so it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like your leveling point. Right, don't worry about all those little drips and stuff, because all that'll come right off with a razor blade here in a few minutes once it tacks up a little bit. Get my lockdown bar hole up here. Put a little bit there. Put a little bit there. Don't forget this top part up here with the speaker. Speaker's always a little tricky to get, the speaker grill. All right. I think we're going to leave it like that for a few minutes. I got another game I'm going to go use some of this extra on that I'm working on. So I'll be back in a second. All right, so once it dries up a little bit, all you do is take a nice clean razor blade. And remember, you've got that bottom edge, so you just kind of use that as a guide. You don't want to wait till it gets too hard. All right, so I'm just gonna let it harden up some more, and I'll sand it down and I'll paint it. Try to get it as flat as you can. I just use, I'll show you, hold on. I just use one of these sanding blocks. So I'm just gonna sand it along the bottom, try to get it as flat as I can, and then I'll just paint it. And I'll be back with you whenever I get it painted. You know, nobody wants to watch paint dry, I don't think. But we'll be back in a little bit. All right, I got it cleaned up pretty good. Got the T-molding on it. That really brings it all together. What do you think of the blue? Remember, I repainted the whole front. I don't think you're gonna get it much closer than that. So, I know some of you are wondering about the side art and all that. Well, I've talked about this before on the channel, but some of the new viewers may have not have heard me say this. But you kind of want to make it an 8. You don't want to make it a 10. I'm in business, so you know, you're a hobbyist, so you can make yours a 10 if you want. But I have to try to make mine an 8. And I say that because I could just make it an 8 like it is now and sell it. Or I could try to make it a 10. I could order a brand new side art for it. I could get a new control panel overlay for it. I could, you know, fix all the other little nicks and stuff on the sides, repaint everything, try to get it perfect. But that's going to take me hours and hours. And it's also going to take me more money. I'd have to buy the side art, I'd have to buy the control panel, you know. And so the difference in price, I don't really think is worth it. I could probably get more if I put side art on it and a new control panel and spend hours and get it all perfect. But I think you're better off just making an 8 and selling it. You know, you might get a little bit more money, but if you try to make it a 10, but you're also limiting your market. So let's just say I'm trying to sell this game for, you know, a certain amount. And then I'm trying to sell another game that's got side art on it and new art and all that stuff. Well, I've got to put $500-600 on that machine just to recoup my extra time and stuff that I've spent. Well, Henry down the street, he might not be able to talk his wife into letting him spend that extra $600. You know, everybody's on a budget. So they might want one that's $600 cheaper without the side art. So I think you're better off just making an 8 and selling it. I think it's an 8. It's got some wear here and tear on it. It's got some scuffs and stuff on the side. It's got some cigarette burns on the control panel here. You know, it's got little nicks on it. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good. Somebody might have a game, somebody might put it in their little lineup and they've got a game on each side of it anyway. So they might not care about the side art. But anyway, all that to say, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I like these Nintendo games. We decided to leave this license on it just because we think it's kind of cool, and they did a good job putting it on there. So I'm going to set up the tripod and we're going to try to play it a little bit. I don't even know if I've ever really played POPEYE. I've had a couple of them. Obviously, I've tested it and stuff. But we'll set it up and try to play a game. I think it's also kind of cool that it's all original, you know. That adds a little bit. I'm still justifying not putting side art on it, okay? It's original. It's only original once. All right, let's see. We have to catch all of olive oil's kisses. And if we get to spinach, we can knock out Brutus. But you can't really kill Brutus. He just keeps coming back. So you just got to catch all the hearts until you get to the next level or get the high score, I think. I was getting ready to say you got to be careful because he can jump up and hit you. And then these people on the side throw stuff at you too. Didn't see him there. Why didn't you tell me there was somebody on that side? Not even sure what happened there. Did I hit somebody? If you can get Brutus in the middle, you can tie him up, but it's pretty hard to do that. As you can see, it takes a long time to get all the hearts. I was thinking I can go down to the bottom and get them, but apparently not. I'd like to tie them up. Almost. I do that every time. How do you guys not tell me not to do that? If I'd have hit it up, probably would have got him there. There we go. Can I walk down here or no? Yep. Now I'm in trouble. Yep. I actually beat the first board. Aren't you proud? So I don't think I've ever played this board. Well, there you have it. At least we got to see the second board. Well, my camera cut off, but there we go. Popeye the Sailor Man. I always think about my grandpa whenever I think about Popeye. He was in the Navy, and he had tattoos all over his forearms, like Popeye does. Does anybody remember playing Popeye? Or did you watch the show? So I would like to thank everybody that's been using our Amazon links. If you don't know about that, if you buy anything on Amazon, and if you click our link first, before you purchase it, it will actually give us like a percentage. So if you buy like a $10 item on Amazon, if you click our link in the description below this video, before you buy that $10 item, it'll give us like 50 cents because it thinks that we sent you there. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. It adds up at the end of the month, really helps us out. And if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to us, that would be great. YouTube tells us over half of the people that watch our videos are not even subscribed to us. And subscribing doesn't cost anything. It's not some kind of scam or anything. You just click the button and you're subscribed, and then it lets you know when we get a new video and when it comes out. And it kind of helps the YouTube spread the videos out there. The more subscribers you have, I think they spread it more. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.